Hello, welcome to another little video about Phi mapping. Today we're going to look at this giraffe right here. Beautiful photograph by Heather Edwards, quite possibly a Somali giraffe. Not really sure, but it looked like it might be. And possibly a young one at that. So these are the maps we're going to use. Basic shapes, our core area maps, and our famous through maps. And then these were all the other patterns that exist in those basic sequences. So I just sort of went through and tried to pull out the ones that seemed to be most applicable. With the addition of all those maps, it takes a lot longer than before. So I had to kind of go ahead and scout first and see. So we'll just go through basic Phi area first. We'll just try and find our core Phi area. And that could be from the nose to the back of the head to the top of that horn right there. Makes a fairly good Phi rectangle. A lot of space though, a lot of negative space there. And in fact, what I found later on is that the most sort of accurate one is this one here. Just doing this from the back of the mouth here to the back of the head. And then when we use that scale, all of these ones line up in different ways. Width of the neck, about the size of the ear there. We'll shrink that one down 1 Phi step, so we'll reduce it by 61.8%. Be about the eye. Close. And again, pretty close. So that's our primary rectangle relationship. So clearly in the giraffe, without even doing much more, we can see that it is certainly Phi. And we'll try the circles, because the circles sometimes give a bit of a different ratio in that they fit together a little bit tighter than the rectangular ones, because their perimeters are different. Circles don't have the corners. So if we go, there's, yeah. Let's make that the right length here. Looks like something like that. And all of these Alright, so yes. Yep, lots of phi. And let's have a look at a basic circle map here. Get this one and this one to line up. Right on, there's a fairly flat line there. Get the circle on the eye and that line almost like that. Doing that type of thing. Okay, let's do that same thing with the phi spiral map. If we take that out to find the most ideal harmony here. A full head like that. That spiral feels like it wants to go in there. Get this, there's a this kind of fish shape here. We can get that right in the ear. Doing that, and this as the major kind of markings. Eye basically on the in the center. Sort of doing this flat line here, getting close to it anyway. Might be a bit big. Doing the tongue, doing half of the shape that's in the ear on the nose. So pretty good, pretty good. Then if we scale that down, one scale, 61.8%, get this shape, then it does that, which is sort of where that ultimately came from. Like from the back of the head to the back of the mouth there. Moves the eye into there. That point right on the ear. Okay, cool, very cool. So, with all of these shapes, what I was really hoping to do would be to just simply find shapes that fit it almost exactly. And it turns out that the giraffe might actually be a fairly complicated creature. Here were some spirals that I found, kind of similar to the one we were just doing. These are 4 different scales of Phi spirals, just nested back to back. And you can see that they don't make a full rectangle, or they make a more complicated rectangle. Yeah, so those worked out okay. But most interestingly, and these are 2 sort of similar versions of the same basic pattern. So there was about 5 different patterns that kind of jump it out. And let's have a look at those. So we've got kind of a bunch of major descriptions here. They're not exact, but they're pretty close. So let's have a look at those a little bit. And all of these are the same size. They're all the same size rectangle. So I didn't scale any of them. So not bad. Getting that, and certainly the eye a little bit. It feels like this one you could make a little bit smaller. It's nice when they're all the same size. But if we did make that one smaller and just kept with the Phi thing and made it 1 scale smaller, and you can see it does that almost better, except for the eye part. No, it does the eye okay. Real deep eye. But hitting that shadow line there almost perfectly. Not sure what that is, but it's clearly well, if you do it this way, it looks like it's some kind of third eye energy point. The ESP. So that one works also in that scale. This one this one also works in a different orientation. Take it like this way. This one's not completely clear, maybe a little nose bubble. It's not as great. It was just kind of interesting that it defines this range out here. And that one is the same as this one, just a little different. It'd be impressive if the tongue came out that far. There's no way it comes out that far, but right? I think that's it. I think there's just 5 of them. And they describe it in that way, which was fairly effective. And if we take the other one and put it in there, it's kind of a similar, it's using the same shapes. That's the eye, obviously. Oops. No, I had it in the right position. Why would you rotate it? But yeah. So hard to see the giraffe shape on its own as a pattern. They'd have to get rid of all the excess lines. But I'm not sure how I feel about doing that, but when you put it overlaid onto the giraffe, you can see how it works perfectly, missing a few lines. And this again, these are all the same scale, and they're scaled from this point to the back of the head. Again, marking that very well. This is the one where I had this one in this position. Anyway, it's basically the same as the other one. That one does the ear really well there. And all of these maps will show some kind of relationship. I was just trying to pick out the ones that did it the best. And they were pretty good. And then I turned those basic shapes into maps. Well, let's take any one of these. Take this guy. Put it on here. And then just try and find where it fits. And what is it doing? What is it saying? There's a little muscle there. Not sure of the anatomy of the giraffe, and that would be helpful if I did know. So, yeah, let's try some of these. Also, the width of the head is one to the full width. It's another one. All right. So basically the giraffe is Phi, and these protrusions are all in Phi spots too. So all these maps talk about that in different ways. And not exactly, like you can see the chin does a real, that hard point there. So that often doesn't get described, but you can imagine marking those points or something. Right? And a lot of the lines, if they're, I mean, it depends what they are, but, you know, in terms of where the eyes, yeah, a lot of connections between the, you know, the eyes and the mouth, because it's eating, and the ears and the eyes, I guess. A lot between the eyes and the mouth. Saying that because I recall finding one in particular, which I forget now, but connected really with the mouth, but not as much with the ears. A lot of these width of the neck there. And it's just because the giraffe is Phi, and these are Phi maps. And they're different types of maps, but they're all using the same dimensions. So the same occurrences keep happening. It's just that some describe it perfectly and others describe it roughly. It doesn't have to be in the center there, but I keep so what's that? That's the go right to the tip of the ear, which puts it in the center, which does that. Put it there, get all this happening. This shape ends right at the back of the head and goes right to the right where the tongue is. It points the neck a little bit. Does that depression a little bit. Do that one, and we scale it down one. And yeah, we're going to get back to that shape. Cool. May as well finish these out here. This is a fairly beautiful map. They're all beautiful in their own way, but some of them seem to really stand out. Yeah, I think the giraffe is a fairly complicated shape, actually. I think the birds are going to be a little bit simpler. This map right here, for example, you can almost see a bird in it. Works really well in the ear there. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, if we go just to the width of the head. Not fitting right in there. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, so they all kind of do different things. Yeah, and this one it's putting the mouth in the center and the void in the center. And fairly routinely just marking all of these different points. Yeah. So there you go. That was the Somali giraffe. 9,000 of these things. Thank you very much. Hope that was somewhat interesting. And hopefully you'll join us on the next one. Have a great day out there. Be good to each other. And we'll see you soon. Bye.